Alright, some shadow tricks. So, one thing that you might want to do in presenting your work is to start to show shadows. I mean, that's one of the nice things about the building information model is that it will show you this kind of information. I mean, really simply. One thing I noticed that was a problem was at first it wasn't showing shadows on this level. So let me just quickly go through that. If you have that same issue under lighting, in session lighting, you'll see that you can have it stop at a certain level. So if I had a level kind of just directly below level 1, maybe that was called street level, I could call it up right now and call it that. Or you can tell it not to have any kind of level, and it'll just cast that sun until it hits the surface. So that's what I've done. I'll just show you real quick what happens when I turn it to level 1, because all of this information is below level 1. It doesn't show up, so that's the trick there. Other issues. For some reason, Revit still doesn't allow you to, if the material is transparent, it doesn't let that not cast a shadow in the typical orthographic views. Don't have any idea why that is. There is a workaround. I'm not really a big fan of it. I think it can be used to a lot of success. It's just a little bit quirky. But this is the deal. What you do is if you have, let me just delete this one. In 3D view, it'll act that the transparent materials will act like they're transparent and won't cast shadows. So it's obviously in the technology of AutoCAD to do this, or to Revit, but anyway, they haven't. So let's just go into a 3D view and we'll set one up. So essentially what you're doing is you're creating a 3D view, and you can do this in elevation because you'll find the same issues in elevation. The glass will, the shadow will hit it, it won't go through it. So essentially you'd have to create a 3D view for each of your orthographic projections if you want to get rid of that shadow on the glass, or the glass, I mean, casting shadow. So I'm just going to show you how to do it once, and then you can apply that to your elevations and your plans as you need to. So what you do is go into 3D view. It's a good time to duplicate view. And let's just call this out as level 1. And then let's hit the top view, so we're straight up and down. For whatever reason, and maybe I can do that. Let me see if I can't make this happen. Okay, if I start here, what I'm trying to do is get north up kind of automatically instead of me having to do anything. So I'm just going to start from the south and see if I hit top. Okay, so that's the way I would go about it. I would hit the south elevation, crank up the top. I mean, what I'm looking for is trying to get that me not to have to kind of turn this very slightly to get to a perfect north view. Alright, so then you're going to turn on the section box, go to one of your elevations, right click on top of your 3D view and turn on section box, and then move that down. Now, for a big project, if you're working in an architectural office, I would be surprised if you ever try to use this type of feature, because it is a little bit clunky. Alright, so we automatically, this is the other kind of nice thing about it, is that it automatically shows up the poche like I showed you in the sectional perspective. So if you change that to black or white, it would automatically be there. So that's pretty cool. We turn on the shadows and you can see immediately that is working great for us. Now we can apply or our view template too by just clicking on all here and grabbing that and seeing what that looks like. And you can see that that ortho drawings doesn't have that set up as far as allowing the sunlight to travel through level 1. So we want to kind of tweak that. You'll also notice that some of that cleanup that we did is no longer taken, because this is an absolutely new view. So that was just something that we did in that one view, so we'd have to go in and do that again. Really wasn't that big a deal. So and the last thing, we have some of the buildings off, so I'd want to turn those back on. And then I think the trickier part would be then to get this at scale. So I'll go into that here in another video. Last thing on this, the shadows, the default for shadows is really, really dark. And obviously poche, the blue, I'd have to go into that orthographic drawing settings and find doors and door jambs or certain things, railings and all that. I'd have to get that poche to be correct for whatever I'm going to do. So there is going to be some tweaking that would need to happen to get this perfect. I mean, you could always go into Illustrator and select this and delete it, or Photoshop, but I would rather you get it all working in Revit, so that if you have to do this again, you're not like duplicating that procedure of selection and changing. But as I was saying, the shadows tend to be kind of obnoxiously dark, and I think as you would print these, you would find that it just turns into a bit of a muddy mess. So, I think part of what you should be thinking about is, actually, it's not under shadows, it's in lighting, is to think about how much sun and how dark the shadows are. So I think in the past I've kind of gone to this like 20%. And this is one of those things you'd have to do some test prints, but just looking at this on the screen right now, I would say this is enough to kind of give it kind of a pop, and still allow you to read the information in the plan. So this looks like a pretty good situation. So I would definitely turn down your shadows. Alright, thanks.